I'm Ellen Lai. I'm your host today. I'm the director for PageGroup Now, and I'm currently managing 5 teams within PageGroup Now, including contracting, financial services, healthcare and life sciences, digital and technology, and secretarial and HR. I am so glad to have so many familiar faces with us today. And today's our webinar topic is Navigating Through Uncertainty, Tools for Leaders to Build Inner Wellness for Themselves and Others. So just some housekeeping before we start. You do not need to do anything to adjust your mic or your video because they have all been disabled. And there's 2 ways that you can reach out to the panelists throughout the webinar. One is the chat button. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to go on the chat button. Or you can also click on the raise hand button where our marketing team, Tony, or myself will send you a private message. And we'll have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So if you have any questions for Joanna, feel free to type your questions on the Q&A box. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our speaker today. So our speaker, Joanna Chin, began her career as a corporate lawyer and worked 15 years in reputable corporates like Siemens & Siemens, Bayer, and AIA Group. She is a qualified solicitor in New Zealand, UK, and Hong Kong. Joanna was a curious adventurer from a young age. She spent long sabbaticals exploring South America and Europe on her own with nothing but a backpack. As a result, one of her adventures 7.5 years ago, Joanna made a career switch. She's now an executive coach and coaches leader in different industries, including luxury group, international law firms, and consultancy firms. She coaches individual and groups and also facilitates leaders workshops internationally. Joanna is passionate and thrilled to share with us some tips to navigate through all the uncertainty in the world and how to manage individual inner wellness, as it is critical to the restoration and resetting for organization for the future. So I'll now pass the time to Joanna.
Thanks very much, Ellen. And it's wonderful to be invited by you, Ellen and Paige, to share this morning. I'm very excited. And I see there are currently about 74 people here. So welcome everyone. I'm hoping that you're having a great morning, even though most of us are working from home. And I said to Ellen, I'm really excited about this because I have so much knowledge, I have so much experience, and Hong Kong, we've gone through a really tough time, as well as the rest of the world. But Hong Kong, we're going through COVID-19, a 3rd wave, and we've gone through a lot of political issues and tensions. And one of the desires of my heart today, and I said to Ellen, is to really share with you experience and tools, because we're at a critical time in our history where these things have not happened before, and we have a very uncertain future. So how do we navigate through that? I know 1 hour is very, very little time, so I hope that at least in this hour you have some key takeaways, you have some tools. And really, I want you to feel encouraged at the end of this session that whatever you're going through, we're all going through a storm. You might have heard that, but we're on different boats. So some of our boats may be showing cracks. Some of us may be more durable. Whatever the case, let's not judge ourselves how we feel and what's going on. Everyone has their individual experiences. So without ado, I'm going to start with a poll, and let me just share my screen. Oh, before I start the poll, you would have received an email from Ellen with this worksheet. This is to help you in this 1 hour to go through the step by step so that the learning that you have, you actually apply it in your own life. If you have not printed this out, what I want you to do is very simple. Just draw a straight line to represent that path, and just draw 6 circles. Even if you're not a drawer, you can do it. So 6 circles, and just number the circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as shown on the screen. And also, some of you might be very technically savvy. You can have this on your phone and you can draw on it or you can write on it. I'm not like that yet, but I aim to have a reverse mentor who can teach me those things one day very soon, hopefully. So I just give you 1 second, draw a straight line, draw 6 circles, and then we're ready to go. All right. Next is the poll. What I like to do is check in how your brain is doing, because a lot of my tools are brain-based. Let me explain the options that you have for the poll. So just imagine you are going into a garden close to your home, and suddenly you hear rustling of leaves. What is your brain doing? Level 1, you're alert. And you're thinking there's no immediate danger. I'm aware of something lurking around. I don't feel alarmed. That's level 1. And as I go through this, think about over the last 2 weeks, which levels you have experienced. So level 2 is you are feeling alarmed. So instead of walking around the bushes around home, you're in a dangerous neighborhood and suddenly there's a rustling. So what's your brain doing? Your heart rate increases, your stress hormones increase. You may be hyper alert. You may feel alarmed and you're not thinking straight. Well, let's go another level. Instead of being in a dangerous neighborhood, you're in Zimbabwe at a safari and suddenly you see eyes come through the bushes. They look like lions. So what happens in your brain? Level 3, panic. Your brain and body is in a panic mode. You're making decisions entirely reflexively. Minimal complex thought takes place. All right, we're ready for the poll. So when your brain what has your brain been experiencing over the last 2 weeks? You feel calm, level 1, 2, or 3? Let's have the polls.
So currently we have around 50% of people that have voted, and most of you are voting to level 2. So I'll give it another 5 seconds for for more people to vote, and I'll show the result. Okay. Here's the result. So most of you are feeling in level 2.
Okay. So there is that brain response where sometimes you're not thinking straight. So that's alarm. So as we go through this, I want you to just check in the state of your physiology as I go through this workshop, and just check in how are you responding as I go through some of the content here. Now, I just wanted to explain a little bit about my background. This is me. That was around 1996 when I was admitted to the High Court of New Zealand, and then afterwards I was qualified in Hong Kong and the UK. So that was a long time ago. I was a sweet little girl back then. And I always get the question, why did I change profession so suddenly midway? I was on a really great career track. I was a senior lawyer at AIA Group, and I was managing multi-billion restructuring and transactional work. So why the drastic change? Because it was a very rewarding career, financially very stable. So why? Well, the usual thing I tell everyone is, I've always had this feeling inside of me that I had a calling for something different than waking up every morning and think, yay, I'm going to draft some contracts today. I just felt like every morning I had something more to do. And so I set off on an adventure. And I don't tell many people this, and particularly with so many people online listening, but I decided that I would tell people during the crisis, actually what happened, what really pushed me to making the decision to stop law and to go travel and explore myself and explore what was there out there that could be my calling. The reason why I did that was because I had a disruption in my personal life in 2011. And that was a push to me, well, there's nothing to lose. I might as well go on an adventure and discover what else was out there. So I left Hong Kong very promptly. And that is why I am on the journey that I'm doing. And the rest is history. I'm an executive coach. I'm absolutely passionate about what I do. So what's happened to us is in 2020, we've had so much disruption, and it's thrusted us into uncertainty. Who would have known it in January 2020, it would be like this? And it's like there's a seismic movement of the earth, and the tectonic plates have just separated. And people are thinking, well, maybe things will go back to normal. I'm saying to you, no, it's not going to go back to normal. You cannot put those plates back together. So what do we do? Why are we feeling anxiety? Why are we at level 2? Why are we sometimes feeling, oh gosh, I can't think straight? It's because this is big. And we have to date a script, a story that we want to play out in our own lives. We have a script, we have plans for holidays with family and friends, weddings, plans for our children's education, financial goals, fitness plan, daily habits, schedules, freedom. We now have them all destroyed, disrupted. And this is stressful because it's very uncertain. The brain does not like uncertainty. So what do we do? My invitation to you is press the pause button on the story so far. We are at a critical time, a pivotal time, as I said, in history, where we need to make decisions which will create a better story than the story that we've had to date. And sometimes disruption is really, really good. For me, the disruption in my personal life thrusted me into doing what I'm doing, something that is my calling, something I'm passionate about, something I'm so convicted about. And this is what disruption does. It makes you think. So my invitation is take a pause for the next hour and go with me on this journey. Now, we are going on a journey that has no script. We have no script of the past of what to do in the future. So how can we make this journey from something that looks like a disaster to something that's beautiful? Now, this is a tectonic plate separation in Iceland, and now it's a national park, and lots of people go into this place for an adventure. They go diving, they go walking, and it's beautiful. I want to pause here and ask you now to go to your one-pager, whether it's a drawn page or this page. Go to step 1. Write down a personal, significant, disruptive event for you in 2020. How has this pandemic, how has all this financial, political situation disrupted you in 2020? Just write it down. And now I'm going to show you a video.
I think we got a big problem.
Dr. Joe!
Shorty!
Dr. Joe! No more parachute!
Shorty! Come on, give me a hand. Out of the box. Come on. Hurry in. Help me.
So that's Indiana Jones, one of my favorite movie series. So as you can tell, Indiana Jones was at the alert level 1 because he could think straight, even though a lot was happening. And the blonde lady is at level 3, full panic mode. Now, I wish there was a female version of Indiana Jones, and I'm sure that's coming. I don't like the fact that they discredit women like that, but anyway, that's my area of diversity and inclusion. So let's put that aside. Indiana Jones, it doesn't matter how disruptive things are, no matter how much his life was in danger, he sailed along with it. And the funny thing about that clip was that at the end, they end up in the river, and he said, "Oh, that wasn't so bad, was it?" to the blonde lady. And so he was able to look at the situation and even enjoy the thrill of the adventure. So what are we looking at? How can we navigate through disruption and uncertainty? Anything might come to us. How can we navigate it well and even maybe enjoy it? Have an explorer mindset. So this is this is the agenda for today, is look at what is an explorer mindset, because what I want to do in this session is to help you to embrace an explorer mindset so that you can better navigate through the uncertainty. And then the second item that we're going to look at is what are the essentials to becoming an explorer, to creating a really great story from here onwards. First of all, navigate through emotions to get unstuck. This is the wellness piece. This is how we have inner wellness. And then secondly, transform our mind. Again, this is inner wellness. And thirdly, discover your anchor. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for Q&A. Sounds good? And I can all hear you say, yeah. All right. Explorer mindset. We've all heard of the fixed mindset. Probably you've heard of the growth mindset. I'm introducing you to the explorer mindset. So how do these mindsets view challenges? Fixed mindset avoids challenges. Growth mindset embraces challenges. Explorer mindset goes further than embracing. They seek out challenges. They think it's a thrill. Fixed mindset gives up easily. Growth mindset perseveres. Explorer mindset, you know what? This is so exciting. There's treasure to be discovered. Even in the dark places, there's treasure to be discovered. Of course, in the dark places, in the challenging times, they are challenged. It is not easy, but they are resilient because they know there is treasure in there, and I want to get to that treasure no matter how hard it is. How do they see personal growth? Fixed mindset ignores useful negative feedback. Growth mindset learns from criticism. Explorer mindset, they are not afraid of seeking for the truth, and they confront the truth. They don't, because sometimes truth is very, very hard, but they seek it and they confront it. Fixed mindset stays away from things you don't know. Growth mindset acknowledges and embraces weaknesses. Just to say, fixed mindset, they stay away from what they don't know because they don't want to reveal their weaknesses. Explorer mindset, yes, my weakness is someone else's strength. I can leverage the strengths of others, or I can learn from them. It's an opportunity. How do they see resources? Fixed mindset, resources are scarce. We've got to fight for it. Growth mindset, there's an abundance of resources. Explorer mindset, hey, let's find more resources. Let's go and find the treasure. Fixed mindset, because resources are scarce, they focus on proving themselves. Growth mindset, focus on collective success of their team, organization. Explorer mindset, they have a transcendent purpose to benefit mankind. They want to find the treasure so they can share it, they can amplify it, they can enable and empower others to spread the good message. What's their philosophy of life? Fixed mindset, results and achievement is what they want to achieve. Growth mindset, the journey is important. We can learn from it. Explorer mindset, there's a transcendent sense that they have of purpose and that they are a part of something much greater. And they are willing to put themselves out there to explore the fringes of the mystery of the universe. And they take risk. Now, I want you to think of the explorer mindset as I've put here, or, this is not exhaustive. Think about what aspects of explorer mindset you do have. And I want you to put it on that second circle. What explorer mindset do you already have? Now, we all have fixed mindset in some aspects of our life and explorer mindset in other aspects of our lives. For example, technology. My goodness, if I was to try and figure out how to do this and that, I can give up very easily. But however, if we're talking about exploring the emotions, the inner person and other people, my goodness, I am definitely an explorer there. So we have giftings and strengths in one place and maybe not in another. We all have a bit of everything. So maybe I'll just go back to fixed mindset, growth mindset, just rewind a little bit so you can have a look at what the explorer mindset is. Okay, so enough time for you to just jot down a few explorer mindsets you do have. Moving on. So we're going into what are the essentials for having an exciting journey as an explorer. First of all, we've got to navigate through emotions to get unstuck. As you saw from the level 1, 2, and 3 of the brain, if we're stuck on level 2 and 3, we really cannot think straight. Our body takes over. And let's have a look at that. So as I said, when our script, when our story, how we plan things in the future, when it's disrupted, it causes us stress. And when we experience stress, it is in essence emotional. So this is a definition of stress. Stressful emotions, e.g. anxiety, frustration, anger, hopelessness, can arise in response to external challenges or events, like what's going on, and also from ongoing internal dialogues and perception. This is the brain chatter, how we interpret what's going on, how we see others' communication and their behavior towards us, and how we interpret it for ourselves. My experience is there's always both elements that causes us to have stressful emotions. I want you to focus on the word emotion. Energy in motion. Energy is actually the physiology, the energy that's in our body when we encounter stress. Neuroscientists separate emotions from feeling. They're two different things. Emotions is the physiology. So let's have a look at what that does to our body when we encounter stressful things. Our body has two systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. When we encounter stressful things and our brain registers it, it's in the limbic system where the amygdala is situated, the fear center of our brain. What happens is it registers it and it causes us to have a higher heartbeat. It secretes adrenaline, gets us really prepared, our muscles prepared, our blood rushes to our muscles, prepared to what? Fight or flight. And other parts of our body does not work as well because it's focused on fighting the threat that we see, or flight, run away from it, or if we don't know what to do, we freeze. On the other side, if we're very relaxed and calm and zen, then the parasympathetic system is in play. I like to compare the two systems to a car. We press the accelerator on, that's a sympathetic system. We're on the go, 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 go. And the parasympathetic is when we put on the brakes. Now, our bodies are not designed to be on the go all the time, because if you keep pressing on that accelerator, you're going to run out of fuel. And I want to say something about the situation we're in. We need to prepare ourselves not for a sprint. We need to prepare ourselves for a marathon. And if you look at it from a physiological perspective, our body is not able to take all the stress in our body in the long run. This mechanism of fight, flight, and freeze is for acute stress, so that you can fight or flight from a lion that jumps out at you. However, when we deal with daily stresses, we need to be able to manage our response to the stress. And there may be a lot of stress out there, but we need to learn how to manage it so that we're not always on this fight, flight, freeze on a long-term basis, because it's very detrimental to our health. What's really important to know is don't judge yourselves on the emotions you're feeling. Emotions are neither good nor bad. They're actually really important. It's information. It gives us data as to what's going on inside of us so that we can address these emotions. We can deal with it and regulate them. And the second thing that I want you to really remember is emotions are not the same as feelings. Emotions are the physiology. Feeling may or may not be there. Some of us are very good at feeling the emotions and naming the emotions. Some of us are not. It depends on a lot of factors. The way you were raised. Were you raised talking about emotions? Were you raised suppressing your emotions? What's really important is, especially in this time, is to be emotionally literate. Because when we suppress our emotions, it gets bottled up and it's in there, but and there's no output, and you don't know what's going on. And the more you suppress it, one day the cracks will show. And in fact, I've had clients tell me the cracks are showing already. And if you numb your emotions, and most of you are here in Hong Kong, and for us Asians, we weren't brought up learning how to express our emotions in a constructive way and articulating them, having conversations around them. So often we numb ourselves because we're very practical people, just get on with it, just check out and just get on with it. If you numb your emotions, not only are you numbing yourself from feeling the stress and the anxiety, the sadness, you're also numbing yourself from the really great emotions of joy, love. So my recommendation and invitation to everyone is to get in touch with those emotions, because you're missing out on the heights of joy, the heights and the depths of what joy is. And it's only when you experience that and you have that hope in you that you can share it with other people. Now, a bit about the brain, of when our brain is under threat, when we feel stressful emotions, what happens? When we're in a stressful situation, our brain is disengaged because, as I said, we're ready to run away or fight the threat. So we're disengaged from people. However, our brain likes to be rewarded. It goes towards reward. And that's when we're engaged. That's when our prefrontal cortex, which is the executive function of our brain that makes decisions, that's analytical, logical. It's the empathetic center of our brain. We can choose to regulate our emotions, choose to regulate our communication, and we like to go towards things that reward us. And neuroleadership, the SCARF model, tells us what disengages the brain and what engages the brain. And this is very, very useful. So this is the first tool I'm teaching you. There are 5 elements to the SCARF model. These 5 elements help us to move towards a reward response where we will be engaged. So rather than be in a fight or flight or freeze mode where our thinking freezes, we want to regulate ourselves so that we are calmer and able to engage with other people. So let's go through them very quickly. Status. So these are all needs of the human being. And depending on the individual, we may be higher in some of these needs. So status is how we feel in relation to other people, whether we feel respected, whether we feel significant. And for example, if we feel acknowledged and respected, we're high in status. We have a position, we feel high in status. Certainty, we've talked about certainty. There is certainty of a schedule, certainty of the future. So if we're high in that, then we're in a reward state. Autonomy, this is having a choice. So a lot of us may be down on this because we're restricted in terms of working in the office. We're restricted from visiting our family overseas. So this is autonomy, having a choice. When we feel like we have a choice, we have a say in the matter, we are in a reward response. Relatedness, this is really, really key. Relatedness is our connectedness with other people. It is having people that we feel safe with, psychologically safe, where we don't feel judged with what we say. And this is so important for this time. Fairness. If we think something is fair, we're more likely to have a reward response. And just to say that if we are in a threat response, then our brain is like a cloud. It gets clouded and we're not thinking straight. So I'd like to ask you, what is the main element on scarf that you think is being threatened right now so that people look at toilet paper like gold? Can we have a few answers in our chat, folks? What level? Anyone venture an answer to that? Ellen, do we have some answers?
Yeah, we got, so we have someone saying certainty, and then a few saying it's level 3. Mm-hmm. And level 2 alarm. And certainty is the key, like it's the one that most of them had answered.
Yes, absolutely right. It's certainty. Not knowing whether you're going to have toilet paper as your daily essential. So it's causing people to think very illogically. And yes, it's level 2 or 3. Now it's for you to go onto your A4 paper, your worksheet. When was a time that you couldn't think straight? And what aspects of scarf was being depleted? I'll give you just 30 seconds to write down very quickly because we have to move on. And by the way, here's scarf. So you're probably all asking me, so how can we make ourselves more in a reward state so that we can think straight? So here we go. Now this is very, very individual. I'm giving you some suggestions. So in the status, if you feel low in status, ask for feedback. Ask for some positive feedback. Now, if you can take constructive, negative feedback, ask for that as well. If they're a person who can give very good constructive feedback. And, self-affirmation. You've got to affirm yourself. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I have this explorer mindset. I can leverage that in this circumstance and I can do it. Now, if you are looking after a team and you feel like they're low on status, give them feedback, positive feedback, affirm them, appreciate them, acknowledge them. It will increase their status. Second one is certainty that we're all going through. Have a daily routine. Have short-term goals. Tick the box. That gives you a dopamine hit. It is a feel-good hormone. Give yourself a direction rather than like a 5-year goal, 10 years goal. Right now, that is going to be disrupted. Exercise. This is really important. I'm all for the overall wellness of the person. When we exercise, we feel agency. We feel in control of our body, and that's really important. Appreciation. Appreciate what is certain in your life. Appreciate what you can control, and reward yourself for achieving those short-term goals, or tick the box and you've done that. That is going to give you a dopamine hit as well. This is about chemistry in our bodies. Third one, autonomy. I don't have a choice. I can't travel. I suggest you reappraise that. How can you think more with an explorer mindset? I can't travel, but what can you do in Hong Kong? Instead of going on a holiday in Italy, how about finding a really great place to be with your family here in Hong Kong? Create another way. And we think we may not have a choice, but we always have a choice in here, in how we respond to situations. Relatedness. Express your need to people, to connect with them, to share with them. Find your tribe. Find people who are like you, who you can share with, and you feel safe with them, and they're not going to judge you when you share with them your needs, your emotions. And what I recommend for organizations, that you have some sort of peer coaching groups, and you do need a facilitator who is experienced in doing that in this sort of situation. Fairness. Oh, that's not fair. This is not fair. And children have a lot of that. So this is a really great way to also help your children to calm down. With fairness, reappraise it. Fairness, what is fairness? We'll never have total fairness in the world. So these are just some ways that you can regulate yourself and others. I want to talk a little bit about the chemical or the neuropeptide oxytocin. Oxytocin is released in our bodies when we have positive social interaction with other people. It is an amazing neuropeptide because it decreases stress in our body. It decreases the stress hormones in our body. It decreases things like anxiety and mood disorders. And it helps us to engage with other people, to be more emotionally aware of other people. And so really, I can't emphasize more on being with other people during this time. This will be one of the major elements of us, not only just navigating through this journey of uncertainty, it will make it enjoyable. And a little bit of research on dogs. I think it was in Canada. They found that dogs, having a dog with you, will release oxytocin. So it's a great stress reliever. All right, so you've looked at what you can do with the SCARF model to regulate your own stress response. Go to step 4 and write 1 or 2 things that can increase SCARF, whether it's status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, or fairness, as it relates to what was depleted in your step 3. So just have a look at SCARF, SCARF, and just jot down 1 or 2 things. That's all you need right now. You can always do this afterwards. And I've really got to get going. Right. The second tool that I'm going to share with you is transform your mind. Now, during stressful times, it's actually a lot easier for us because we may be at level 2 or level 3 to be triggered, and we have an emotional response. Our emotional response has consequences in our behavior, usually our communication, and that has an impact on our relationships, whether it's at work or whether it's in family. And so how do we manage this? Because the impact can be devastating for those who are close to us. It can be devastating for those who are working together, and it will affect our futures as well in terms of what we hope to achieve in our work, in our careers, etc., etc. So I'm going to give you an example. A few weeks ago, my buttons were triggered, and I was angry. I was so angry, I was furious. And there are not many times in my life where I'm really furious. And when I encounter intense emotions like that, I always make an inquiry. What was the trigger? What are the emotions that I was experiencing, feeling? And I label my emotions. And then I ask myself, what was I really believing in that situation when my button was triggered? And then I reframe my belief. So what I did in this situation was, I labeled my emotions as I was, angry, it was fury. I felt I was belittled. I didn't feel significant. And then I looked at, what was I really believing? So, my beliefs was, oh my gosh, he's so inconsiderate. He can't think outside the box. He's so fixed-minded, and he really doesn't care. And so that kind of thinking is very unhelpful for me to regulate my emotions and also my behavior, because in response to the trigger, I communicated in a way that was not very helpful, and it caused a lot of tension in our relationship. So I had to reframe it, and having even that understanding of what triggered me helped me to have a really, really amazing and constructive communication with this person. And we had a very, very good conversation, and everything was all good afterwards. So what I use is this framework, cognitive behavioral technique. This is based on cognitive behavioral therapy is a psychological intervention, and it is one of the key tools that I use with my clients as well as the staff, and I use some other models. But this is something that it is quite complex. There are many, many layers to it, but I want to share this with you because at a surface level, this is very helpful. So the theory goes like this: my belief of the situation, this belief of thinking can be at an unconscious level. That's going to lead to my emotional reaction, and that's going to lead also to my behavior. And these emotions and behavior have consequences. So if we want to change our emotions and behavior and not have the consequence, for example, of disrupting a personal relationship or a work relationship, we need to look at what are we believing in. So in my example, I had to change my thinking because it was unhelpful. So how do I do it? As I said, I look at the activating event, ABCD. A stands for activating event. My specific trigger was, here's a person who's not listening, who's interrupting me, who I perceive as not valuing me. So this is the trigger. The consequence was, as I said, my emotions, I was angry, I was furious, and the behavior led to some terse correspondence. Of course, a lot of this was on email. And then I had to identify what was I really thinking. If I really, really go beyond the surface of, oh, he's not considerate, he's not thinking out of the hat, he's so stubborn. These are very judgmental thinking, and it makes a lot of assumptions. They're not helpful. So I have to reframe that. But when I go down the layer, because this is what I do, right? I explore emotions. When I go down a layer, I actually realize, oh my gosh, he reminds me of my dad, how he communicates. Now, my dad and I, we have very similar personalities in some ways, but so there's a big clash between me and my dad, and particularly in the way that he communicates. I'm the only one in the family that really reacts. So because my colleagues' communication reminded me of my dad, here was the trigger. And it was just so wonderful that I was able to identify this trigger is my dad. I'm thinking he's my dad. And all these childhood reactions from way before is all coming out. And I had such a great conversation with my colleague saying, by the way, one of my triggers is because your way of communicating reminds me of my dad. And he also identified his triggers as well. So we were triggering each other. And the way I put it to him is, look, in any relationship, I have my baggage, I have my history. You have your baggage, you have your history, your triggers. And then we also have this combined baggage when we are in relationship with each other, whether it's work or whether it's personal. What's really important and why we have problems in relationships is we don't identify it. You've got your baggage, I've got my baggage. The two baggages, when they come together, may explode, and we're not able to articulate all of this. So this is very powerful. We go deeper and we're able to articulate it. We can really work through the hardest relationships. So I'd like to ask you, what is a trigger for you? What's triggered you over the last few months? I'm sure you've got something at the front of your mind. And now I'm going to go to the next one because we are running out of time, Ellen. All right. So the essence of this framework is to help us to reframe the unhelpful thinking that gets us stuck. We can't get past it. It's like a big wall to an explorer mindset. I'm going to give you some examples that may apply in our situation right now. Some people are very shy about speaking up. I need to be an expert on this topic before I speak up. Now, I'm going to say to you that I've coached a lot of people who are introverted, but they have so much amazing things to share and to say to people. And I'm sometimes very frustrated because I'm thinking, come on, you have something amazing to say. Why are they stopped? Why are they not saying all of this? Well, because there's so much brain chatter that's limiting. It's, I don't, and they need to reframe it. So they need to say to themselves, I don't need to be an expert to speak up. I can still voice my opinions. Or in meetings, I can ask questions and facilitate a meeting. Now, this is the explorer mindset. I need to explore why I hesitate so much to speak up. What assumptions am I making? What am I fearing? Am I fearing what others will think of my opinions? Will I look stupid? How is my not speaking up affecting my relationship and my work? This is the explorer mindset. Don't be afraid of asking yourself those questions. And my encouragement to you, and you know who you are, because I've said this to a couple of people or more, particularly women. I said, you have a voice inside of you. There's something that you want to share with everyone that is so good. People need to hear from you. So just roar. There's a calm roar inside of you, and it needs to get out to benefit people. If you don't share it, who's going to share it? So this is my encouragement to you who hesitate to speak up, because what you say can impact a team, can impact an organization, can impact if we all come together, Hong Kong. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about this. Okay. This is another fixed mindset that we need, that can be very unhelpful. I am an expert to my area. How you should listen to me. How dare you tell me what to do? Now, this may not be conscious, but when you're stubborn, be careful. This may be your subconscious chatter. So you need to reframe this. I'm an expert to my area, but the context has changed. Things are more complex. I should listen to others so I can learn from them. I need to explore why I'm so stuck in my ways. What internal rule do I have? I'll come back to that. What am I afraid of? How does this affect my relationships and my work? So internal rules, I'll give you an example. So I used to get really agitated and very agitated in MTR stations when it's really, really crowded. And so in one of these sessions, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy course that I was being trained on. I shared with my partner and said, yeah, I get so angry. So how can I change it? It's because I've discovered I have an internal rule. If you're going to be walking in the MTR, I expect you to be polite and not elbow me and give me at least half a meter distance between you and me. I need my personal space, right? So this is the unconscious rule that I have, the expectation I have of other people. And I thought to myself, gosh, that sounds so irrational, Joanna, please. So I let that go. And when I felt that trigger in the MTR station, I said, Joanna, don't waste your energy on it. That's a stupid rule that you have. Let it go. And ever since, I've been very, very calm. Okay, next. I can't share how I'm truly feeling. I have to be strong for everyone. Sharing my needs and even crying does not mean I'm not strong. And I really want to talk about this just a little bit more. I know we're running out of time. Showing your emotions, articulating your needs does not mean you're not strong. In fact, one of my best friends from Wei University, she's a lawyer, she said, your ability to express yourself is a strength. Your ability to express your emotions is a strength. So I just want to say it to those people who hesitate, this is a strength because it's opening up, it's being vulnerable. That takes strength. And the way you can also reframe it, it does not mean I'm selfish, I'm only human. And ask yourself, why do I feel like I have to do this alone? Who can I ask to support me? All right, we don't have time to go through this. So we don't have time to do a poll. So the last one, this is going to be quick. The third essential for having an exciting journey, it's discover your anchor. And there are many anchors in life, but I'm going to talk very quickly about purpose. There's a lot of research about purpose and making meaning of life that they say that it makes us more healthy. We're happier, and also we have longer lives. Purpose. Now, it will take a while if you want to find your entire life purpose. I do have a program, a workshop, a workbook also to help you do this. Purpose anchors you. So one of my clients a few weeks ago, we discussed his tension in terms of his opinions of what was going on with the political situation, and he seemed to be very sort of compromised or tense inside of him, not knowing whether he was taking the right stance. So I said to him, "What is your purpose for this specific season?" And he said to me, my purpose is to take care of my family, make sure they're safe, make sure they're okay. And I want to take care of my team. And I said, focus on your purpose. Don't be distracted by all these other things that's going on, by your opinions, focus on your purpose. So this is really important to anchor us. All right, so the last circle is step 6. This is your homework. Write down what your specific purpose is that anchors you. So just to sum up the explorer mindset, this is really necessary to create a great story. And this story you create as you go along. There's no script. You need to get unstuck first. Take yourself out of that brain threat mode. Acknowledge, not deny stressful emotions. Understand and regulate yourself by using the SCARF and the ABCD model to get unstuck. Then you're able to explore inside yourself and also the external. Experiment, take risks, be open-minded, explore and transform your thoughts using the ABCD model. Be non-judgmental with yourself and others. Allow things to emerge. Be okay with messy. Be okay with ambiguity and mystery, because that's what explorers are okay with. Then this will benefit everyone, your family, your organization. Then you'll be able to collaborate, co-imagine, co-create the future and harness that diversity, the power of diversity, and anchor yourself with purpose. And often explorers take a step of faith into a mystery to benefit mankind because they find treasure. All right, this is the Q&A session. Ellen, I know we don't have much time, but are there any questions?
So far, I have a question for you personally.
Okay.
I'm keen to for you to share one of your best explorer experience in your past. And also, I really want to thank you for taking us onto this journey. Personally, I've took a lot of notes, and I think I just need to sort of think about my purpose and how I go through all the SCARF model. So yeah, if you can share perhaps one of your key experience in being an explorer in the past.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to when I just came out of university, because I still laugh about it. So I came out of university, I think I was only maybe 22 after law school. And I decided to go on a journey, 6 months journey, carrying my backpack. And I didn't tell mom or dad what exactly I was doing. So they had no clue. I told them afterwards because I didn't want to shock them. So I was backpacking and staying in all sorts of hostels, and I managed to cover it up. And what happened was I was taking a night train from Italy to Spain, and many things happened on that. I was almost robbed, and I was on my own in the carriage. But that's when my assertiveness or what's the word for it? Yeah, my assertiveness came, because when someone opened the door and he was about to take, he thought I was asleep, and I knew he was going to steal my stuff, and I just gave him the dirtiest look ever, and then he closed the door and walked on. But that caused a lot of stress. Now, and then on the same train ride, I don't know whether you know that some trains split, and it split, and I was in the wrong car. So I was going to a completely different destination. I thought, oh my God, what do I need to do? And it was like 3:00 in the morning. I stepped off the platform. Goodness knows where I was in Spain. It was 3:00 in the morning, and there were these street sleepers. I was 22 on my own, very cold, and I had to wait maybe an hour or two for the next train to get me back to my destination. So I thought, okay, well, I can't change this. I still have to wait for two hours. I'm going to make the most of it. This is really funny. This is an adventure. I will tell these stories to people one day. And of course, now I am. So I was exploring. It's like, wow, this is so much fun. This is so unexpected. And I'm going to tell these stories. So when we go through disruption like that, it's like if you make sense of what you're going through, that story is going to be a lighthouse to other people. People going through the storm and they become lighthouses. It's because they've had a shipwreck before.
Okay.
So share those stories.
Thank you very much. So we actually have a few questions. So first of all, one of Jen, she wants you to just quickly share the ABC slide again, if that's possible.
To share it by email.
How about this, Jen? I will share the deck by email to you at the end of the webinar. So we'll ask the next question.
Yeah.
So what do you think if art, it's one of the tools to develop and explore a mindset? It's art one of the tools, you think?
Absolutely. I'm glad that question was asked. Artists or the creatives have an ability to navigate through uncertainty, ambiguity. The problem with uncertainty is very ambiguous. And when we don't have a script, it's not black and white. And artists have the ability to express beautifully the ambiguity, maybe from a painting, maybe from poetry, because explorers don't expect to have black and white answers. Artists, creatives don't expect to have black and white answers. So they're not fixed-minded. And artists and the creators find beauty in the darkest moments. Explorers find treasure in the darkest moments.
Yes, thank you. And how about one last question from Athena? So she's asking, do you have an example of using CBT in a work and team setting?
Yes, well, I do the CBT all the time with my individual clients. I have done workshops on CBT with small groups. This cannot be done in a big group setting because the way you learn CBT is when you're in a small group. So I've done it with small groups and it's been very powerful. So I would not recommend more than say 12 people with this sort of thing. It could extend a little bit more, but because the benefit of it is when you share.
So small group setting, you would recommend less than 12 people per se?
Well, this is my personal preference.
Sure.
12 is the maximum.
Okay.
However, it could be 20.
So that's the end of our Q&A session because I'm mindful of time. So thank you very much for everyone who had attended this webinar. We are going to record this session and we'll share the YouTube video with you in around a week time. And also stay behind for around 5 minutes. We have some Q&A for you just to see how you feel about this webinar and what you have learned. So thank you very much for joining us today and we look forward for our next webinar. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great day.